All right, welcome ladies to July's Conscious Parenting Forum. And I'm so happy and grateful that you are here today, and I'm seeing new faces, and this is really exciting. And thank you also for just being here and taking the time to be here, be on the call live. And my intention is that what I'm going to be teaching today is relevant for you, for your children, and more so even for you going forward, because we're the adults, we lead, we teach, the children follow by example. All right, so a little bit of background. Some of you may be familiar with what I'm going to say right now, only I think it's also important to just remember a little bit about our humanity. So people have said in the past that babies come in with a blank slate, and now we've learned that that's not true. So babies don't come in with a blank slate. They start to come in and hear all that they come in, that when their organs are developing in the womb, they hear what's going on with their parents. They may not be able to understand everything, but they're feeling and they're getting the chemical hits of the emotions of the mothers. So mothers going through anxiety and fear and fighting with their spouses, those chemicals are beginning to get into the body of the baby. Also, whatever the mom is doing in terms of her terms of her profession, who she's around, what she's doing, all of that is getting into the body of the baby also. And I have beautiful empirical story. I've got a 2-year-old grandson. She'll be turning 2, granddaughter. She'll be turning 2 very soon. Her mom's a singer, and all during mom's pregnancy, she would go to the gigs with her mom. I mean, obviously she was in her stomach. And so when my granddaughter was born, her first way of communicating, which I found extremely interesting, especially from where I'm looking, my perspective, her initial way of communicating was through humming. She didn't speak. She didn't use words. She hummed, and she hummed responses, and she hummed intonations, and she would just hum. And I said, oh God, yeah, look at this. All right. So that to me was, of course, we know that we know that on some sort of internal subconscious level, and then we logistically start talking ourselves out of it. Well, it's not true. It's not true. Only it is true. So anyway, now that we've all given birth and we can't undo that, but in your case, Brittany, in the event that you have a second child and you're going to have birth again, and Franca, same with you, you're having another child, then you do want to be really, really conscious of the energy that's going on in your body, in the womb. And I know, Franca, you do a lot of work in this realm. So yeah. And so now here we are, baby's born, and the baby has been born into this world. And the world that we have is a world of inherited beliefs, inherited restrictions, inherited language. And so I call it the fish tank. So we have been brought into this fish tank, and the world that we live in is really like a fishbowl, constricted. So we don't have access to other things because of our thoughts and our language. Well, we start to, and when we get into intuition and psychic realm, that's when we start to access a little bit out of that fish tank, like that opening, only for the most part, then we're constricted again within it. And so we look at the world and then we see, oh, wow, I'm living in this world, and 95% of all of our stuff is unconscious. We operate on the subconscious. And here we are again in this fish tank. And the fish tank has told us that we live in a world where there's something wrong. Okay. And we're always in this world, there's something wrong, and we need to fix it. So this is where I was going to go today. Really big movie. I have not seen it. I confess, I've seen excerpts from it and I've heard about it. I will go watch it. Inside Out #2 is supposed to be the movie right now, all the rage. It's got the answers to everything. And then I started to watch snippets and had a conversation with one of my sons who's very evolved in this work with me. And we both agreed it's not, okay? It is still, and I'm not knocking the movie. The movie's got really tremendous, it's a big step forward in our culture, in emotional development, that is for sure. However, it is constrained in the fish tank. And what I mean by that is the mom comes and asks the kid all the time, what's wrong? What's wrong? So that is the first part that we're going to stop asking our children. If you are asking your daughters or anybody in your family, even husbands or whatever, what's wrong, that is assuming that's assuming that the world that we're in is broken and something is wrong and we need to fix. And that is not the world that we want to live in. There's no freedom in that world. So if we can give up the conversation of, whoa, what's the matter? What's the matter? What's wrong? Are you okay? If we can begin to give that up and just replace that with, hey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on? Or what are you feeling? What's going on? And then we can start to give that a different context so that we're not looking to fix. There's something wrong. I've got to fix. I've got to take care of this. I've got to make it better. So we can look at all of that. So that's a beginning place to look at. The other place that's a beginning place to look at is removing the word should. People are still, even my students, okay, my former students, people that I've worked with are still using should a lot, and should really limits our view of the world. It makes us and other people wrong. Oh, I should be doing this. I should be doing that. And it also puts on a lot of expectations. And once we get into the world of expectations, that becomes the world of right and wrong, feeling good, feeling bad. So we want to remove should as much as possible. And then we want to continue to look at expectations. Like, what am I expecting? What am I expecting of myself? What am I expecting of other people? What am I expecting from my daughter? What are my son? What are my expectations? And then we start to look at those. Wow, did they even agree to have those expectations? Did I even ask them? So we're beginning to put all of our own stuff culturally, our parenting, what we know about the fish tank world onto our children, and then turning them into mini versions of ourselves in society. And this is where we want to go and start to grow. So for today, I was really looking at some of the vocabulary in Inside Out, even though I haven't watched it. Like I said, I've seen snippets, and the emotions have named themselves, meaning joy. And then there's an emotion, and I believe her name is there's a guy, his name is frustration, and another one who is anxiety. I heard that, I noticed in the snippets that anxiety has a very large role in this. And so again, we're looking at programming. So when children are feeling fearful, rather than to own the emotions and own own the emotions in the I am, change the language. So I'm going to go backwards a little bit. I worked with a client who was in therapy for over 10 years, and she was in therapy for anxiety. And what she did in her language was, I have anxiety. I have anxiety. I'm always anxious. So when we hear it, we say to ourselves, wow, she's owning that. She's creating that. She's actually internalizing that. And it's like, oh, wow. So I had her give up saying and give up the word anxiety completely. So not even to say that she was anxious or having anxiety, we removed the word, and I asked her, okay, when you're feeling that, just say, I'm feeling something in my body that wants me to breathe more, okay? I'm feeling something in my body that is requiring my focus. I'm feeling something and I'm not labeling it. And so then she began breathing through those episodes that were normally labeled anxiety. And within a year, she was off all of her anxiety medications. And now she's a meditation, contemplation, mindfulness teacher. Okay, and that's great. So, and there's no anxiety. So now, how does that translate into with our children? So what we can start to look at is, I'm angry. Well, give it up. I'm feeling angry. It's an emotion. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling upset. We're not owning it any longer. And it's the same thing even with illness. I have a cold. Well, you don't have to have a cold. You're experiencing a cold. I have a sore throat. Well, you don't really have it, do you? It's not going to be with you permanently. You're experiencing a sore throat. I am experiencing discomfort. I am experiencing nervousness. I am experiencing some overwhelm. And all of those are temporary conditions because we don't want to make them permanent. We do not want them in the body. The body has memory. We know this. The body stores trauma. The body stores, dang, that body stores everything. Muscle memory, everything is stored in the body. So what we can do with the children is to remove words like should and really start to consciously parent them in vocabulary. And this brings me now to starting to look at the world as bigger than the fish tank. So I'm going to talk about something that I do in the Academy program. When we use the word already, okay, like, oh, I already know the answer to this. What we've done now is we have killed off possibility and potential because we already know this. Oh, I already know what they're going to say. Really? You think so? Maybe if you asked yourself, I wonder what they'll say if I keep my mouth shut and take a different perspective, they may say something totally different, which they probably will. You know, if you ever think about people who have, let's say, let's use husbands for a while, okay? Let's say you know your husband and you know him this particular way. I'm making this up, okay? If it fits, don't get, I'm not being psychic. It's just an example. Let's say he comes home and he's grumpy and he doesn't want to talk and he really wants to be left alone. He doesn't want to expend any energy. And then you see him at work and you see people around him at work and everybody knows him at work as, they all know him at work as charismatic and charming and energetic. And here's this guy, all right? And he's so different from the guy at home. All right, we're not going to go into that right now. And then you want to ask him a question and then you tell yourself, oh, I already know he's going to say no. Well, in that space of telling yourself, I already know he's going to say no, you have just literally created the environment for him to say no. However, if you look at him like, wow, that's that charismatic guy who everybody loves at work. And you know what? I'm going to intend for him to say yes. And you put on different glasses and you're going to get a charismatic guy that's going to say yes. And you're like, oh, whoa. All right. Because you've given up the already. So, all right. Does that make sense to everybody on the call? Brittany, were
Yeah,
you
that makes a lot of sense.
hand? Did you have, so I had a hand go up.
Oh no, I didn't
Oh,
put my
okay.
hand up.
Oh, all right. Does anybody have a question about any of this? Can anyone see where, I feel like I'm in school. Anybody see where they're using this and they can lose this?
I definitely see where I can kind of come, like, I guess bring a different type of presence to situations, and where I'm like, okay, in the past, this is usually my outcome. So I'm kind of bracing myself for that same outcome or that same conversation or dialogue. So I'm definitely open to reframing. Sorry, that's my toddler in the background. But yeah, I'm definitely open to reframing and understanding how I can bring a different energy to the table or questions.
Beautiful, beautiful. And just one more teaching moment, and perhaps you know this from the work that you've been doing, Brittany, the present tense is created now. And if we're not conscious, we bring in the past, and then we get more of the past. And then we wonder why the future starts to look like the past, because the past is brought into the future, and it is the past is brought into the present, and the present creates the future. And if we keep schlepping that past with us here into this present, then we're going to bring it with us into the future. All right, so that is something that we
Yeah.
always have to be, and it's conscious awareness, okay? Because if we already go into the, I already know he's not going to pay attention to me. Why is this thing My computer is going like this, all right? Okay, computer, all right, Siri, whatever. So AI. So if you're already knowing, oh, she's going to get upset when I say this. Well, we're bringing the past into that. So if we get really present and we become aware of ourself at that moment, then we can reframe. We can say to ourselves, oh yeah, in the past, when I said this, she would get upset. I'm going to say it now in such a way that she's going to hear it. It will be okay. So that not even to use the, oh, she's going to get upset. What am I going to do? Because that's operating out of a fear model. Okay. And I go into that. I go into that in my academy program. However, just recognize that when we're operating, oh, I'm going to hurt their feelings, I'm going to make them upset, we're operating out of fear. And we never know if they really are going to be upset or if their feelings are going to be hurt, because we're putting that onto them. It's not necessarily the truth. How they feel is their response. That's on them. We can just bring open communication with my favorite words, what's so. This is what it is. And this is what it is. And it's not right. It's not wrong. This is what it is. And yes, this could be appropriate or inappropriate, depend and defined by societal standards. And that's a lot for 2-year-old, but you know what? Believe it or not, they're going to get it. They're going to get it. Okay. Anybody have particular questions that's relevant to their experiences? Anybody coming like, do you have any questions like even Brittany, like what we talked about before, like about bringing psychic work into the daily activities?
Actually, yes. I have so my daughter, she's been having a hard time with going to sleep because she says there's a girl at her window.
Mm,
Um, so she says there's a girl at her window and she doesn't like it. And I remember being young and like having, paranormal situations happen. But I don't really know how to respond to those type of things because it's like I don't want her to be scared. But I do want to honor, what she's feeling.
mhm.
So I just was curious if this is something that you've ever experienced or
Oh, not me personally at 2 that I remember. Okay. Only the older, yes. Not the other experiences. Franca, did Ella ever had Ella, right? Emma. What's your daughter's name, Brittany?
Yeah, my daughter's name is Avery.
Avery? No. Franca,
Yeah.
did Emma ever have any experiences where she spoke about things like that?
Yeah, actually, so I was pregnant with twins and I lost one of the twins, like I don't know, 4 months. So Emma's been speaking about her sister being with us a lot lately, and um, like I've told her about her sister last year, and then we were like it happened twice, like a month ago. We were reading a book before going to bed, and then she's like, "Mom, why are you laughing like that?" And then I'm like, "No," she said, "Who laughed?" And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Who's laughing like that?" And then she starts laughing, and I'm like, "Who's laughing?" And she's like, "It's my sister. She's laughing so much. She thinks this book is so funny." And then like 2 days later, she's like, "Can you read the book to the two of us?" And I'm like, "To the two of you?" And she's like, "Yeah, me and my sister, we're here. Like we want you to read us the book." So she's been feeling her a lot, like a
Wow,
month.
interesting. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So my suggestion, number one, not to invalidate it. Okay, because here's the thing, when she right now, and again, maybe you know all this, and so apology if you do know all this, between 0 to 8, people call it the veil. It's really the brain waves are so slow that so much comes in. They can see and perceive so much that we no longer have access to. All right, number one, it's pretty much been squashed in us, most of us, from parents and society. How's that? All right, let's leave it there. And then if we were allowed to have that come through, then when we start going into the beta brain at around puberty in 12, we begin to lose it anyway, unless we have learned how to stay connected to it. All right, otherwise it's that window of opportunity. Beta brain starts going faster and faster, conformity, puberty, we want to fit in, herd animals. And so all that stuff, oh, that made me weird or whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to talk about that anymore, even though that she may still experience it. So getting back to both of your questions, or how I perceive them as a question. Number one, not to no invalidation, meaning, okay, awesome. You could even ask, what does she look like? It's not that you're not you're encouraged, please don't feel as if you're encouraging like their imagination, because they're going to see what they're going to see. And even if they do add a little bit of embellishment to it, so what? Okay, it's not going to hurt anybody. It's not going to make anybody the worse for it. And so what does the girl at the window look like, and what is she saying to you? Does she have a message? I mean, I don't know how much your daughter understands at age 2, and how verbal she is and what she's saying. All right. What does she feel? What does she say? And if she's just there scary, well, then you get to, guess what? You get to reframe this, because they believe everything, they're sponges. And you could even tell her that's an angel at the window who's watching you so that you sleep beautifully, so that it's not a scary ghost or entity. And what if it is, Brittany, how do we know? What if it is an angel at the window watching her? Because you got white light streaming down right now. Take a look at the camera and the way you got white light coming down off of you. So what if that is an angel that is there guiding and protecting her? All right.
Yeah, I actually did tell her. I was like, it could be an angel, and just I did ask her, like, what is she, I said, what does she look like? And she told me she has a purple shirt and green pants. And I was like, okay. So I did mention the
Good.
angel thing. And I just think it's like she just sometimes doesn't know how to react. So I like the idea of like just reframing and continue to reframe so that she can absorb like, okay, this is peaceful. Like she can feel peaceful
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
it.
Right. Are you frightened? Is she picking? Are you afraid? Is there something frightening you? Is that what she's
So
getting?
it's possible that she may be picking up on something. Quite honestly, when she starts to have these feelings, it's actually like I'll be sleeping sometimes, and everyone's sleeping in a house, and then I will have a bad dream, and she will wake up at the same time,
Mhm.
and this is usually amid like around 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
Like that this happens. And I'm like, is she picking up on my bad dreams? Like I didn't
Probably. Yes.
connect it like that. Oh
Yes.
wow.
Yes. 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 So even though we're recording, I'm going to share a story with you. A few years ago, I was traveling with one of my sons, and we ended up, sharing a hotel room together, and his bed was there, my bed was there, and we went to sleep. The next morning I woke up and I said to him, I had the wildest dream. I dreamt about when we used to live, and I told him, when we used to live in Washington State, and I dreamt about so and so and so and so and so. He goes, no way. And I'm like, what happened? He goes, you know what I dreamt about last night? So how do I know? I don't know. He goes, I dreamt that we were in Washington State, and that we were with boom, the same exact people. We have the same dream, same location, same characters. Now, Brittany, in sleep labs and in sleep work, where people go into dream analysis and this research, this is not uncommon. And we can dream for other people also to get answers. So many years ago, I was leading a dream workshop where participants, they had to be together basically. It was in a like what's it called? Retreat situation. And they would dream for one another, and valuable information was delivered. So if, like, I would get your name and I wouldn't tell you that I'm dreaming for you. Okay. But I would get, let's say I would pull a name and I would say, oh, my name, I got Brittany, but I'm not going to tell her, I'm going to have a dream for her. And then I program myself that night. I keep telling myself, I'm going to dream for Brittany, going to dream for Brittany. And then I wake up at night, remember my dream, write it down, come into the morning room for breakfast, say, Brittany, this is what I dreamt. Is it relevant for you? And you would be blown away and say, oh my God, not only that was in my dream too, or how did you know that that was the problem that I was dealing with right now on an unconscious, subconscious level? So to answer your question, yes, think about it like energetically, telepathically connected. I once did
Wow.
a dog. I didn't do it. Okay, my dog is crap. I took my dog to an energy healer, okay? And she put the dog out there and I watched, I saw white light transfer through the room between the dog and myself. I was like, okay, that was the first time I'd ever seen white light. I've seen even people talk about white light. They talk about energy. Only in my lifetime, I've only seen energy in white light form transfer twice. So I know intuitively that, and through the research on dreams, that yes, you could be having the same dream and she's picking up on it and you wake up at the same time yeah. And when she gets older and a little more verbal, you can have fascinating conversations with this.
Wow, I'm blown away. I'm blown away.
I'm going to request that you take it out of the realm of fear, because this may be, you may find, I don't know you, so you may find, oh God, that's too scary. I would look at it now. It's not scary at all. It's actually exciting. Okay. It's exciting. We also know that we can program other people for their benefit, for their health through prayer, through dream. So if that works with helping other people through dreaming for them to heal their bodies and their situations or their love lives or their financial situations, then think of all the power that we can do for our other loved ones, our children, by using the dream world.
Thank you. That's
Like a long
really
explanation and kind of went this way. And you can play telepathic games with her just really quickly. This is what I do with my grandkids. I don't know the name of the toy, but there are these pop-up things that you hit and it's like a yellow lion will pop up. If you hit the green color, if you hit yellow, a yellow lion pops up. You hit green, a green frog pops up. Do you ever see those toys, those pop-up toys? So
yeah.
I used to play with my grandsons and I would play the game, what color am I thinking? And that's all I would say. Say, what color am I thinking? And then in my head, sending and receiving telepathically, I would say to myself over and over again and not look. So he couldn't check the eyes, okay, to see, oh, she's looking at yellow. So I would look somewhere else. I said, well, close my eyes. What color am I thinking? And I would go yellow, yeah, in my head, not yellow, 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 yellow. And then boom, bang, he puts his finger on the yellow and up pops the lion. And we used to do that all the time when he was super little. And he has very high accuracy rate. And not every kid is as receptive. So it depends on the child.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that with Avery.
Yeah. And even memory card games, start to do the memory card games and then guess what's underneath them. All right. So, oh, where's the house? Okay. And then you start doing it telepathically. So it's not just memory cards in terms of memory, but now you're also using telepathy to navigate where the cards are.
I started doing the card game with Emma, and I'd ask her like, "What's the next card?" And then like, "Give me a number," and then she most of the time she gets it right.
Yeah, very powerful stuff. And it's
Oh,
practice.
yeah, and then I start doing it with her. So when I practice, also I start getting it right.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely, absolutely. Questions. This is great stuff. It's really great stuff, and there's so much again, for me, it's removing the limitations of what we know, what we believe we know about the fish tank that we live in, all right, this little fishbowl. So we can jump out of that fishbowl and breathe, breathe and survive. We don't have, we can make it work. Any other questions, concerns, thoughts coming up with this?
Not now.
Okay, telepathic game, all right. No. I think I might have this in my 6 steps, okay? Only you could play hot cold with her, right? And so you hide an object and then you do hot cold, and you could start to do it telepathically, like I'm going to tell you which direction to go. And you could play with that a little bit, all right? That's pretty advanced, you know what I mean? Only they're so telepathic. I used to do it with my dog, okay? I would walk with him. It was an experiment. I would walk and we got to a crossroad and he'd stop. And then I wanted to see if I move to the right, obviously he's going to go right. If I move to the left, he's going to go. Whatever I guide him, he's going to go. So I would stop at the crosswalk and I wouldn't move. I would just stand there and not let him pull me, just stay there. And then I would close my eyes and I would say, go, I would visualize going to the right or going to the left, going in the direction. And then I would take one step. And sometimes, not all the time, sometimes he would make the same, that he would go off in the direction that I had telepathically suggested. It was fun. It was just fun.
Amazing.
Something to do on a dog walk, okay? So there's a lot of stuff that you can start to do with her. And my biggest thing, Brittany, is the language, okay? And the expectations. I don't know if you were here, removing should from vocabulary. If you're not, are you doing that? So just get.
Yeah, I don't know. Now I'm going to be more aware of it because I don't know if I use the word should, but I know I use the word can't.
Mm-hmm.
So that I'm going to reframe that.
Mm-hmm.
And little words that I'm like, you know what is that saying to the subconscious?
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to use some empowering words.
Beautiful, beautiful. And then move away from the this, I'm sick, I'm this, I'm that. Move away and turn that into I'm experienced. And it's hard for a kid. You could do I feel this, I feel that. That might be easier. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm just thinking, yeah. Mm-hmm. That might be easier than to move away from can't also. Okay, questions? Any questions? Anything else? Any things that you want to know about?
I have a question about because another thing that I've noticed is that my daughter is very in tune with what, like how you had mentioned, like if I'm feeling anxious or fearful, like she will then become anxious or fearful because she sees me,
Mhm,
if I'm stressed out. So it's like,
mhm.
what can I do? Or do you have any experience with clients of like what works to make sure that I can feel my feelings, but so that it doesn't spill over to her because she's very empathic, like
Yeah,
super sensitive.
yeah. And that's what they are. They're like sponges. They feel everything. So let's say, for example, can you give me sort of like a kind of an example, and I'll see what we can do with that.
Yeah, definitely. So, just an example, like if me and my husband are talking and, maybe we have a disagreement or, she like I'm trying to think of something off the top of my head, but, oh, like we own a business together. So sometimes we're talking about clients and then, if a client, something happens or something like that, it's like it's a stressful situation. So we're going back and forth, like, okay, so what do we do? So I think she can feel the denseness of the
Yes.
energy.
Yes.
And but we have to have the conversation, but she will start she'll start like kind of like trying to distract us from having the conversation. And it
Mhm.
just makes things worse because then we can't problem solve, even if it's something that we can't wait to have, like it's something that needs to be handled. So it's like, oh my gosh, it just adds more like stress for us. But
I'm,
then
laugh- I'm laughing. I saw this yesterday at my daughter-in-law's home. Okay. Where the 2-year-old was crying and the 4-year-old was freaking out that the 2-year-old was crying. So then he started doing stuff, and then my daughter-in-law wasn't handling it 100%. So and I was just like the observer. And she just allowed him to continue to do, like, she just let him do his screaming until she was able to calm her daughter down. So one of the things, though, that I think might be effective, and I see my son do this also, is he just turn to his son and say, honey, we're having a mommy and daddy and I'm sure you're doing this. We're having a conversation now, and you are safe. That's it. You're safe. We love you. We're having a conversation. You are safe. And then maybe a hug or a something, because what we normally do, and I'm not in your house, normally it's like, okay, stop, we'll be right there. Stop, just stop. And that's not what they need at that moment. What she probably needs right there at that moment is a really quick hug. Honey, you are safe, you are protected, you are loved. Mommy and daddy are mommy and daddy are talking about something. That might reassure her.
yeah, 100%, I could see that.
And the thing is catching it, okay? Just catching it. How verbal is she?
She is very verbal. She will tell you what's on her
Okay.
mind.
Can you start doing affirmations with her at night before bed? Have you been doing that? So,
Yes, I have been doing affirmations.
all right. So the ones that I suggest are, I love myself. Have her do this. I love myself and all is well. I am safe. I am protected. Mommy loves me. Daddy loves me. My dog loves me. Everybody, like everybody loves me. What else do you do? What
I
other?
usually I am important, I am valuable. She'll say, I am, we'll do like, I am kind. Those are the ones that I am beautiful. We use that one. Those are the ones that she'll say,
Okay.
usually.
Yeah, I would add the safety, protected. Okay, I am loved and I am safe and I am protected. Always, I am divinely protected. Franca, are you using any affirmations with Emma?
I am. Sometimes she doesn't want to say them, but then I just sit next to her and I repeat it.
Yeah, that's what I used to do with one of my sons, and then my other grandson, he doesn't want to say any of that when I'm babysitting, so I say, okay, that's fine. I'm going to say these, you just listen. That's all. Can you listen? All right. And he'll be like, yeah, okay, I'll listen. And then I'll just run through them. And for the times that he doesn't want to hear them, because there are times where he doesn't want to, he'll say, Nana, no talking. Okay, like stop talking. It's like, all right, so then I'll sit there. I say, can I sit here with you for a few moments? And he's like, yes. And then in my head, I do for him. Like, you are loved, you are protected, kind of like that Ho'oponopono. Are you familiar with Ho'oponopono, Brittany? The Ho'oponopono
I
Hawaiian?
am, yeah.
Okay, so it's along those concepts of the Ho'oponopono. I love you, and all of that. And I do it silently. You are loved, you're protected, you're beautiful, you're kind, you're divinely protected. Everybody loves you.
How old is he?
5.
Okay, it's the age, I guess, getting closer to that age, because Emma also sometimes like no speaking, And she's getting like more like feisty with me and like fighting more with me. And especially it's happened when we're in friends' houses. We've had friends over this week and we've been going to their house a lot, and they eat a lot of crap, these children, and they're like constantly eating all day, like packages of cookies and cereal and this and that and chocolate, like opening the fridge all day. And like Emma and I, like we have our meal, we don't touch food until she wants a snack or there's like another meal, but it's not like constant eating. So she's been eating more crap with them. And then one day she had 2 packages of cookies, which we never have. And I'm like, Emma, that's enough. Like, let's not have any more packages. Your belly's going to hurt. You're going to get diarrhea, because she got diarrhea the day before. And she's like, I'm going to eat what I want. So that she's like fighting me like these days with this. And I feel it's also the sugar and what she's been eating that's getting her like all worked up like that. And like in a really and like kicking and crying. So I have, yeah, my question is how to handle it when she gets like that. Like if I'm saying like no, and she's like doing it anyway. Sometimes I feel I have to remove her from the situation. Like I pick her up, I give her a hug, and I'm like, let's go do this. But she gets very upset.
Yeah, I have a question. Can you ask her? Can you ask her to call onto the past? Like, do you remember what it felt like when you ate all that pizza the next day? Do you remember how sick you felt?
No, I did that. And she's very smart. She's like, it was not the cookies, mom, it was the blueberries. And I'm like, it was not. She's like, no, it's all the rice I ate. And I'm like, no, it was the 3 packages of cookies. Like she.
Yeah, yeah. It's a tough, this is because you're in a tough spot, because you know what happens when you start to take away, then it becomes they want, all right, and then you're going to meet with resistance. So I'm going to suggest that you create the rules of your home. And in the rules of your home, there are no cookies, there's no sweets, there's nothing, there's no Coca-Cola, whatever it is, there's none of that, okay, in the rules of your home. And then will you be able to control that later? No, you won't, okay? But when she does go out there and start to eat all that crap and comes home, you can then remind her, this is what it feels like when we put bad food in our body. And she's so young, she'll sponge it, she'll get it, even if she's no now, okay?
Okay.
She'll get it. Yeah. Because, you know, I used to have back in the day, well, I didn't really, true confessions, back in the day, I didn't know all that much about nutrition. And so one thing that I did have was a junk food drawer and in the kitchen at the very bottom, and the kids had access to all the junk food. And what I discovered in my experience with my children was that by having access to the junk food, they didn't touch it. But the bad thing was that when their friends came over and their friends hadn't had it in their home, they took the junk food and they started getting crazy, and then they got crazy in my house. And I was left with these children that were bouncing off the walls. And it's like, oh, this is not going to work. And so I then ultimately removed the access to the junk food drawer in the house. But that was, you know, that was not education, that was experience.
That's funny.
Yeah, so have it not be in the house. That's all. In our home, we don't do this. Just like, hey, you know, think about it, and if it's not food, but like, do you let her write all over the walls? Do you let her color and paint on the walls?
No.
Some parents do. And it's not right or wrong. It's just in our house, we don't, these are the rules of our house. This is what we don't paint on the walls. We don't eat junk food.
We were in their house. So like when we're in someone's house, I'm more flexible, but like they had like a package literally of like 50 packages of cookies inside, like a box, and they would not stop eating. So I was like, we need to put like a stop to this, because like it was like never ending.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. And what did your friends say?
They didn't care. Like they were having a meeting outside and they asked me if I could watch the kids in the house. So we were all like playing, and then the kids are like, they knew where it was hiding. They put like a chair up in the kitchen, and then they went and they got this box, and then I'm like, they're eating all the cookies. I told the parents, are like, it's fine, but for me, like we don't eat all that stuff.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, and you know, not for nothing, you could also, if you were not afraid, so just hear me, I'm not saying if this is true. If you were not afraid of looking, remember the concept of looking good, looking bad, being delicate to other people's things. If you were not afraid of their response to you at that moment in time where they said, it's okay, let them have what they want. It's not okay for you. So no, not on my watch. I'm babysitting. I'm here. I'm watching them. So you're not getting the cookies.
In fact, I put the box away like in another place where they couldn't reach,
Yeah.
and they started fighting and hitting each other for the cookies. And I was like, we're not having more cookies. I'm making dinner.
Right.
So
Yeah. So then you handled it and they're just going to do what they're going to do. Look,
yeah.
I did want to,
yeah, go
I
ahead.
did want to share because I'm having a similar situation with my daughter. And one of the things that I found is a good way to kind of introduce a different like perspective is she's very independent. So like I'll bring kits like salad kits. And then she loves making food. So she'll like be like, I want to cook the salad. So she'll, mix the salad and everything like that. So I realized if I want her, and I'm still working through this myself, but in order for me to like have her take ownership of it, like she has to actually make the thing. So I don't know if that's something that might also work with your little one as well.
Thank you.
Your daughter sounds very precocious.
Yeah, she thinks she's 25 years old.
Got your hands full, Brittany. Yeah. Yeah. I know just sometimes what I do with my grandson is when he's doing the things that work for him with his parents, I just say to him, look, that works with mom and dad. I'm here now. This is what works with me. And then I watch my tone of voice so that I'm firm and there's no question mark at the end of it for the intern. Like, is that okay? No, it's not. This is what I don't know what works with mom and dad. I don't even say that. That may work with mom and dad. And this is what works with me. And you are with me now. And then I just stop it. I just stop talking and he gets it. So you may want to just put those cookies away and say, well, I'm the commander of this ship right now. Those cookies are going away. And if you have a meltdown, you have a meltdown. The meltdown's on them.
Yeah.
You just need to hear.
I know.
Oh, and it's just we have to be so mindful too. Because at those moments, right? In those moments when all this stuff is happening, it's really great to have like, oh yes, hindsight, I've got all this conscious awareness, but what's running the show is the 95% of the subconscious that reverses back to the way that we were raised and the way that we did things and what we know. So then all of a sudden that starts running the show. And then if we're lucky, we get to consciously stop at that moment and say, hey, I got to step into myself right now. All right. Any questions? I intend that this was helpful in some way and meaningful. And just remember, we're going to reframe our fish tanks. All right. And that you're in command. You're always in command. You're the adult, and the adult has to be present. Children need adults. Okay, not big babies. I'm not saying that you are, but
Very
anybody
helpful.
listening to this in the future, we need to have the children need adults. Yeah. All right, ladies, I want to thank you so much for being on today's call, and you know where to find me and where to reach me. And I send you updates. I love updates. Just email me. Okay, email. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.